back to Girl Boss SA. I'm your host, Mvula Tavete, and we're back with another episode of my natural hair story. Our guest today is from Eswatini, the Kingdom of Eswatini. Her name is Temaswati Nzima. Eswatini is, my home country. Both of my parents are Swati, so I am Swati by descent. And I'm really excited to have her on here. We're going to be talking about her natural hair journey and the political climate in Swaziland concerning natural hair. Hey girl! Yeah! You're actually our first guest from Africa for this series, so I'm really, really excited. Let's talk about your natural hair journey. What is your relationship with your natural hair? Is it something that you always embraced, or did you have to learn how to love it as you got older?
So as I was growing up as a child, your parents want you to go to school with what they actually labeled as neat and tidied up hair. So for it to be neat, obviously that includes you relaxing your hair, extensions, cornrows, all that, it has to go through severe treatments to the point my hair was so relaxed to the point it started to fall apart, At the ages of 8, I started losing my hair strands. So luckily, as time went by, I cut my hair short. I think that was around when I was 9 or 10 years. So I cut my hair short. Ever since then, I finished my primary school. I finished my high school still having short hair. I never braided. I never done anything. Just my brush cut or my papatu, my bald hair. Going to school just like that, So I grew to love it. It was a look in me, like I was known as Dema with the short hair. Yeah. No one knew me with long hair. No one seen me with long hair before. And then I think most of millennials could understand the moment you get into varsity. It's a new environment, new setup, new different people you meet. And knowing that you want to be part of that society. You get into that society, you see people rocking their weaves, rocking their straight hair and all that. You want to be within that society so you can be at least accepted.
Yeah.
And then when I completed my degree, I finally took a decision. I was like, you know what? I was trying to be someone else with this different chemicals, trying to change how my hair really looked like. So that was 3-4 years ago. And then I decided to take a stand, like, you know what, nothing else has to grow in my hair besides my hair.
Yeah.
My hair is beautiful.
Yeah.
Kinky, it shrinks every now and then. I get to style it, do some chico, do some chico styles, blonde it if I feel like I'm feeling blonde in that particular month. But I feel like I fell in love with my natural hair 4 years ago when I looked at the mirror and I was like, you know what, you are a beautiful black woman with your short hair. You have always loved your short hair since you were young. Stick to what actually makes you happy.
Yeah.
So that from that moment, I've stuck to that. I stuck there for those special events, those special moments whereby girl can flip a weave, look pretty and stuff. But the first minute when you get to the house, you just take out that thing and throw it on the couch. You just want your hair. You just want to. So I fell in love with my hair 3 or 4 years ago, and it has been a journey because I still look at these pictures from way back, like, wow, my hair was quite long, when it was relaxed and so oily, so all whatnot. I'm not saying relaxed hair was a bad look then. I'm not saying having relaxed hair is bad. I'm not saying people shouldn't go for that. I'm just saying, for me, I felt like I wasn't myself. I could actually feel it. My hair fell apart. Even my scalp started to get damaged during that time. So I had to take some time off away from all that treatment so I can recover my true scalp my scalp so it can recover and come back to this beautiful black hair it is right now. People look at you differently. They start talking to you differently. Even I feel like even women can relate to this. Men talk to you even differently when you have that type of hair. And then when I came to my short hair and then just stuck to my brush cuts and all that, I noticed another difference too. Like people think, hey, go cut your hair, man. Try cover that thing up. It's not nice. We're not used to unprofessional. The word that's been thrown at me quite a lot of times is it's unprofessional when you do your blonde or you cut it or you just keep it the kinky way or in an afro type of way. Being called unprofessional has been one thing that has actually had an effect on me. When you're within the workplace, when you go outside to work. So how you actually maintain your hair or how you actually look within the workplace, it has a lot to do with how you actually represent yourself from your head to your feet. So us as being black women, we struggle with that a lot in the workplace.
That is what we deal with a lot in the country. And it's not just, in Swaziland or in South Africa and all of Africa, also around the world. And I feel like I understand it a little bit more in other parts of the world. But I feel like on African soil, we shouldn't have to be dealing with that because we are African and this is our home. And we are of
here we are.
So everybody should be having to adjust to our standards of living. We should not be adjusting to a Western standard of living on our home soil. It really doesn't make any sense. And I don't know how it is that we can begin to change that, because I feel like that's something that really, really has to change. It's something that's affected us psychologically for a very, very long time. And then getting to a point where it has to change that. It's enough, So this is very a very interesting dynamic for me, especially speaking from the perspective of Eswatini, because if we get into the political climate Eswatini concerning not just natural hair but women and their hair, I know there were many schools Eswatini that didn't allow girls to grow their hair. You had to have short hair and you couldn't style it. Is it still that way today? What's your understanding, behind your understanding of the reasoning behind that? And how do you feel about it?
I'm so happy you asked that question, because I could have stated in the beginning that I'm actually one of those people who went to a primary school whereby everyone had to cut their hair. All females had to cut their hair. We still have those schools, and I'm actually growing to understand that one of the reasons why they actually took this type of way of life, this type of lifestyle, or this policy whereby children shouldn't have hair at school, is because they think or they believe or they've come into a conclusion that hair is some sort of a distraction.
Okay.
When it comes to females, I don't know how they actually came about to this type of conclusion, whereby they feel like female shouldn't spend a lot of time beautifying themselves, trying to make themselves look too beautiful while they're going to school. They believe that having hair steals time from the girl child. So goes to school without the hair. There are boys in that school, boys will look at that differently. There are male teachers in the school, male teachers will look at you differently. And just maintaining hair on its own, it's expensive. That we've seen and we have noticed. But we have African hair, and trying to dictate, because I feel like it's some form of dictation. It's so painful to go to a school whereby you are not allowed to be the you that you want to be. If you want to grow your hair, grow it to the length you want to grow it. But if you're told second day that Dema, cut your hair, it's a distraction. Or Dema, the rules of this school actually indicate all girls should have short hair. So those are one of the reasons that I've discovered that in schools, they look at hair as a distraction. They look at it as a waste of money. So they're trying to take off the load from the families and the guardians. That if all students look the same, they have short hair, all of them that are in the same category, so there's no one who feels like they're better than the other. So there's that trying to run away from the social division. Looking at schools and outside school, in schools, they still have that policy and belief that everyone has to have short hair. But outside school, we have grown to notice in the past 10 years that women are taking more power of their natural hair. I've noticed how females are now trying to celebrate their black hair. You see them in events like Mhlangeni, in Kuala, those traditional ceremonies we have. When you see them in their attires and all that, they are rocking their African hair, and I take more pride in that. And then there are those few who actually do their waves and they're relaxed, and we still look at that as someone who already has their own identity. But looking at other people continuously treasuring African, kinky, black, strong, beautiful hair, it actually excites me. But if only we can still change the mindset. I don't know if it's possible to change a policy or change the rules of a school, which they've used for decades and decades and decades. But it's possible to actually say, you know what, allow the girl child to be a girl child. Allow her to be the female that she is. If she wants short hair, it's fine. If she wants to grow her hair, let her grow her hair.
Because also, Swaziland is perceived as this place that's very backwards and very slow to progress and develop, because it is the last monarch in Africa. So there are things there are things that are it's about. I know that Swaziland prioritizes preserving the culture and preserving tradition. So then it becomes a bit of a it becomes contradictory, I guess, in some instances, where it's like, okay, but aren't you, if you want to develop the country so that it can keep up with the rest of the world and keep up with development, but also it's so important to preserve the culture, because there's so many things about the way of life in Swaziland that are they're not colonized, and that's something that we have to treasure and appreciate about the land. So then it's just about now having a conversation, because I know that patriarchy is a thing that is perceived to be a problem in the country. That there's no equality, men and women. Women are still facing a level of oppression that is now unnecessary at this point. So there are things that need to be changed and revisited, looked at and developed, but there are also some things that it's really important, I feel, that are preserved within the culture. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite things about Swaziland and the culture, and some of the things that you feel may have been lost in other parts of the world but are still precious and preserved in Swaziland?
So you're actually touching a very passionate topic I like. There's so much I like about my country, from its traditional rituals to its scenery and to just its normal way of life. And when it comes to its normal way of life, I'm actually loving the spirit of Ubuntu. It's very strong. Working together. It's just the people. Despite whatever our disagreements are, or wherever our views or perspectives could be different, but there's one thing you can never change. The people have already been groomed and molded into a society whereby tradition, culture, and love is the order of the day.
Swatis are proud to be Swati, and they make me proud to be Swati too. So I really am always so honored to be part of such a beautiful and prideful country and culture, because and it is so beautiful. Just driving from when you drive through the border gate, Swaziland is breathtakingly beautiful. The scenery, you are absolutely right. The scenery is breathtaking. It's one of my favorite places. Going home for me is always so special because I always look forward to the beautiful scenery. The weather is always amazing, and just the people. Like, you get there and people are just so happy and proud to be what they are, and also just the love. Like, you just feel love when you get there. So I'm really, really, like, I'm also, I share your sentiment. I love Swaziland. So,
and I can actually sense it.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. That was Temaswati and Nzima from the Kingdom of Eswatini. Thank you for joining us, and thank you to Temaswati for joining us and sharing her beautiful story. Also, be sure to check out Girlboss South Africa products, available at Pick and Pay, Clicks, and Game stores nationwide. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And take care and love yourself, black girl.